I think there's a lot of agents that end up reaching their point and then they struggle to recharge or kind of like re-up and go on, okay, now I want to get to this next level. Yeah. And so that's really what I want to try to combat and try to want to help agents, that if you've already hit this level, if you've already hit this place that you say, you know what, I've got my inspiration and I've done everything. If you become complacent, if you just stick there, then you're not going to make it any further, because you've decided. They say that if you're not aiming for anything, you're not going to hit any kind of target, right?
Again, I go back and I think about my kids, and my wife and I, we want to be able to send our kids to private school. That comes with tuition, and there are a lot of costs that come along with that. And so that is my motivation. That's my inspiration. That's why I need to get here and I need to get to work every day so that we can provide that life, for our kids.
So what I want, hopefully, with this podcast today is to inspire agents to say, you know what, I may not have, I've already hit this goal, but now it's time to come up with something new. And so wherever you got to find it, find the motivation to get going again. Find the motivation to get yourself to that next level. I feel like we all have to stop and fight that complacency. Hey everyone, welcome back to Medicare Agent IQ. I'm Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
And so today we are gonna, actually, first of all, let's remind people, it's been a little bit why we do this podcast. It's just kind of the idea is one day we're sitting around at an event with our agents, and I was talking to or a lot of our agents were going back and forth about, started asking questions to each other about Medicare, and just really everyone kind of felt that it was very casual way to have conversations. And so we started doing a podcast just for our agents, and we decided, you know what, why don't we just offer it to everybody else? And so it looks a little bit different from what we had before, but really the idea and the hope is to share tips and tricks about selling Medicare, and just hopefully to inspire people to sell Medicare and to do a good job of it. And so that's the reason that we do this show.
Yeah, not all learning comes from a PowerPoint presentation. And a lot of times it's just a conversation that you have with someone back and forth. And so really that's what we're trying to do here, is we just want to have conversations about certain topics that we know are going to be helpful for you when you're out in the field.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of questions out there. A lot of agents don't have a strong upline that's giving them, tips and tricks. You kind of see it in the different Medicare forums, and where people have all kinds of what seem to be basic questions. And so we're here and as one of the choices. And I know that there's always different podcasts out there. And so I think there's value in listening to all of them. You can stay inspired, learn different tips and tricks from people with different backgrounds. So like mine, I used to work at Humana as a captive agent. I was only allowed to sell Humana. And then when I left there, started an agency and represented several carriers, and then found Oscar, and Oscar joined our agency, and I kind of helped him to develop. And so you've got our backgrounds, but then there's other podcasts out there, and then other kind of like leaders in the industry that have different backgrounds. Maybe they do telesales more and they can give you guidance there, and others kind of excel in digital marketing, different things. So you've got to listen to all of them, and then you pick and choose what works for you. And so again, that's why we do what we do, and we're going to continue to do it. And so hope that it helps you and help you to be successful selling Medicare. So today I was kind of thinking about this. And so I actually just got back from vacation. I was out in Florida for a couple of weeks.
Got a little tan there.
A bit of a tan. Yeah. I started with a tan, so now I'm like really tan. So, but I was out there, and I was kind of, we went on a boat ride. I guess they call it the Intercoastal, out in Fort Lauderdale. And I was on a boat ride, and we were going through a lot of I guess you call it a neighborhood. It's on, it's,
Right.
you know, it's probably called something else. They probably, but either way, there's all these beautiful houses or like mansions. And I remember seeing that Patrick Bet David, who I'm a fan of, I think
Yeah.
you're a fan of also, that he actually bought a house there in 2019 for like 20 million. And he was saying that, you know, at the height of how, you know, houses, the cost started going up, that his house was now worth 50 million. And
Wow.
I was thinking about that and I was like, man, I want to build that. I want to buy a $20 million house. I want to, obviously I probably don't need that, but what it did is it kind of inspired me. And I'm like, man, there's so much more that I could be doing. There's so much more work to do. And I don't have to kind of be stuck where I'm at right now. I can continue to be motivated. And so that's what I wanted to do today, is kind of have a conversation with agents out there and say, hey, look, if you're not motivated, it's time to find something to
Yeah.
motivate you.
And what better time? You know, AEP is around the corner and we're getting ready to enter our busiest season. You know, it's a 7.5, 8 week period where, you know, a lot of our growth comes from this short period of time. We all know that there's a lot of growth that comes outside of that when you're out there writing business, but this is kind of our Super Bowl, right? Like this is our time where we're rocking and rolling. And so if, you know, some agents may be at a point right now where they're not feeling really motivated, or they really haven't started focusing on what their game plan is going to be moving into AEP. And so today is going to be about, all right, what is it that motivates you? Because it's time to get motivated.
Yeah, I think you could have like a what, a why, and a how. And what I mean is, and we're going to get into this a little bit deeper, but like what motivates you, and finding something that does motivate you. And so for myself, it's obviously, like I said, it's that, and then it's family, right? And I think that's the same for you, right? Or
Oh yeah.
you just kind of
I'd say it's family. It's, you know, now that I've got a wife and kids, right? When I first got into this business, I didn't have any of those things. But so early on when I got into the business, I think my motivation at the time, I was young, and it was money, right? Like I want to go out there and I want to make some money so that I can make a good living and kind of get into my own place. That was my motivation. But, and now that I have a family, I've got a wife and kids, they're my motivation, right? They're the reason that I'm getting up out of bed well, they wake me up, right? My kids wake me up and get me out of bed, but they're the reason that I get to work and I get here, and I know that I've got to get things done because I want to be able to provide a great life for my family.
right. Yeah. And I think that we all kind of get to a place where we everyone starts from, you know, when you first become an independent Medicare insurance agent, maybe you left a job and you started doing this. Maybe you work part-time and you're doing this and hoping to become full-time one day. We all kind of start from this, you know, ground zero in Medicare sales. And then there's this thing that tends to happen. And I remember it happening to you. And to be honest, it's happened to me, where you finally reach whatever it is. Everyone has their own goal in mind, and that's that first goal in Medicare. So maybe for a brand new agent who is working part-time or working a full-time job and doing Medicare part-time, their goal is to be able to quit their job and do this full-time and be able to have that same kind of income that they get. I remember it was kind of something for you, right? Like when you first came into the business, you had a goal of being able to travel and do the young millennial thing back when Oscar was still young.
Hey, I'm still young.
but I remember, because I mean, what were you, 24 when you started doing this, right? So obviously you had different goals, and so we get to this place where we hit that goal. And again, however lofty it is, but if we work hard, we're going to hit that goal. And I know agents who just wanted to be able to buy, you know, a nice starter home and have two good cars, and they've gotten there. And then what tends to happen is that we get to this comfort level where we say, you know what, I'm good. I feel real good. And then you kind of put it in cruise control.
Yeah, I've got the house, I've got the cars, I've got my residuals.
Yeah.
I get some referrals here and there, so
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. My business is in a good place, and the bills are paid, and that's okay. But that's for me personally. I think I got to that place, and I did put it in cruise control, and then I don't know. One day I was just like, is this what I want, or do I want more,
Yeah.
or am I capable of more? For several different reasons. One reason was I can eventually get another vehicle, or maybe the goal is to get into a bigger home or a nicer home. But on top of that, I kind of, from a personal development standpoint, I was like, is this where I want to be, or am I capable of a lot more? Can I impact more lives? Can I do, this life that I created? Can I go out there and help other agents create this life? Right. And so that was kind of the mindset that I was in. But, if you're an agent who's out there selling, you want to think the same way, right? Can I go out there and impact more lives? Can I find more seniors out there who need my help? And in doing so, the return is your business starts to grow even more. And so I don't know, I thought what I was like, some sort of ceiling. And I thought, no way, like this is not my ceiling. There's this, it's much higher. It should be much higher. It can be much higher. And so I decided, okay, time to get it out of cruise control and get back into gear.
Yeah, this business it's hard because it's one of the only businesses that I know, like where you start off and you start off, you're a one-man show and you can make it as big as you want it to be. And so that gets hard for some people, because if you don't set goals, if you don't have this vision for where you want to be, or once you do hit that you don't create a new vision, then you get stuck. And so I think for a lot of agents, that's what ends up happening, is that they're getting stuck. And so we've got to figure out some new motivation. And I think that's where I was, to be honest, even like up to 2 weeks ago, I wasn't as, I was starting to, I feel like to get inspired again. But then once I got out there and I was like, I think I could do something like that. And I really do. I completely have a vision for myself in the future where I'm going to, not to say that I'm looking at getting to a point where I'm buying a house like that, but it's this idea where I go out and at some point I'm going to figure out a way to get there. And that's what's got to motivate us.
I think what a lot of people might miss too is they see the house, right? You mentioned Patrick Bet-David and how he bought a $20 million home, but what kind of impact has he had on all of the people around him and the people that have chosen to work with him? And he's impacted so many lives. Like, again, people get caught up in, oh, he's got this $20 million house, right? And some people can look at it as inspirational and motivational. Other people can look at it from a place of like jealousy, which I don't think that's how you need to look at things as a person. But really the truth behind it is, look at all the work that has been put into his business to lead to being able to accomplish something like that, but also all the lives that he's impacting. And so I think that's the root of it. That's the heart of it, is that we get into this business, whether you choose to believe it or not, you're in this business and you're impacting lives. You're impacting the lives of senior citizens and helping them, choose the right plan that's going to impact their day-to-day health. And there's a reward that comes with that. And I think we need to figure out a way to stay motivated and impact more and more lives. And there is a lot more reward that comes along with it. On the topic of what is your why, again, I go back and I think about my kids, and my wife and I, we want to be able to send our kids to private school. That comes with tuition, and there are a lot of costs that come along with that. And so that is my motivation. That's my inspiration. That's why I need to get here and I need to get to work every day so that we can provide that life, for our kids. And I think sometimes some of the things that can impact our why or our childhoods. I think about the life that I had when I was a kid, and I grew up, middle class family. We weren't wealthy, we weren't poor, but I think about the things that I didn't have as a kid, and I grew up playing sports, and my parents weren't able to make a lot of my games because they were always working. They were always at work and they were busy. They weren't able to make it. I understood. I'm not upset with my parents for that, but that was something that's something that motivates me now that I'm older and that I'm working and that I have kids. I want to be present at all of my kids' games or whatever extracurricular activity it is that they're involved in and passionate about. I want to be able to be there. I want to be able to attend those things and not be, held back by my job. But how do I do that? I've got to put in the work now and create that life so that I'll have the ability to be there. So time is a big, it's a big motivator for me, right? You've got to be able to put in the hard work so that you can have the time or have the freedom, have the ability to have the kind of schedule or lifestyle that you want.
Yeah, I think that's part of the how. So like you're talking about the what motivates you,
Yeah.
right? The how to do that. I think that if when I'm talking to someone and they're like, yeah, that's my goal is to be at all those things, you definitely want to not build a one man show. You want to build something that operates even when you're not there, right? So how do I do that? Build an agency and it's not doing being an independent agent. You can, but there's going to be times when if you build it big enough or you've got 1,500 clients, and it's hard to manage all the service that comes with that, especially during AEP. So we've talked about what inspires us. Now I want to spend some time talking about the why. So, Simon Sinek put out a book about finding, I think it's called Start with Why, right? And it's like, why do we do what we do? It's not just to make money. And so like as an independent agent, it's hopefully for an independent agent, it's why we do this is to help as many seniors as you can, understanding that it's very difficult as a senior someone who's turning 65 or someone who's retiring, who's 68, to start doing a bunch of research for a kind of a once in a lifetime event, turning 65 or coming on to Medicare. And so there's a lot of research that do, and a lot of seniors don't do it. A lot of people who are getting Medicare, they don't do that research. They're relying on and hopefully an independent agent who's already done the research, who already has become a subject matter expert. And so kind of the reason that we do this, or hopefully as an agent, the reason that you would do this would be that your heart is to go out there and help people. And I've heard people say, oh, this isn't a nonprofit. It's not, but there's something about authenticity that happens when your why is not just, I want to go out there and drive a Ferrari, right? Like that's it can't be that can't be the sole reason, because it comes across in your day-to-day interaction with people. It's like, I have a heart to help other people, and that's got to be your why. And so you can kind of, as an agent, figure out a way to get to that why, to be able to get to, and maybe it looks different for other people. Maybe, as you start growing and you have your own team, your why could be, man, I really want to help other people accomplish these goals, help other people get to this lifestyle.
Right? Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's kind of the transition that I had gone through as a early on when I was a selling agent. I decided, okay, this is the direction that I want to go. But there's a lot more, and it's if you haven't read that book, I do recommend that you read it, because it's a great read. And you can kind of, again, you think about, I don't know. I got all these thoughts kind of flowing through my head. I'm trying to kind of put the words together here.
One thing that I think of when I think about like kind of finding your why and where you start developing a team is that you mentioned that's where you came to. Just like Oscar has brought so many of his friends from other worlds into this business. And it's been kind of cool to see, because it's like when you find something so valuable, you want to share it with other people. And so that could be a big part of it, is like, again, it's giving other people this, if you become an agency owner, giving other people this lifestyle that is attainable, that you've seen actually become attainable. So it's kind of like why we do this. I think there's a lot of agents that end up reaching their point, and then they struggle to recharge or kind of like re-up and go on, okay, now I want to get to this next level.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I want to try to combat and try to want to help agents, that if you've already hit this level, if you've already hit this place that you say, you know what, I've got my inspiration, and I've done everything. If you become complacent, if you just stick there, then you're not going to make it any further, because you've decided. They say that if you're not aiming for anything, you're not going to hit any kind of target, right? So what I want, hopefully, with this podcast today is to inspire agents to say, you know what, I may not have, I've already hit this goal, but now it's time to come up with something new. And so wherever you got to find it, find the motivation to get going again. Find the motivation to get yourself to that next level. I feel like we all have to stop and fight that complacency. Right.
Yeah.
So just real quick, and this is obviously going to be a shorter podcast, but let's just talk about a little bit about the how. And so when I tell you, when someone says that they want to, that they're wanting to build a business where they have that freedom and flexibility to kind of live the life that they want to live. Actually, I have seen a lot of agents, when they get to 1,000 clients and they kind of put it in cruise control. If you can figure out a way to maybe use automation to stay in contact with your clients, figure out ways to stay in contact with your clients without actually having to physically do it or actually having to make the phone calls, that's kind of a good way for you to accomplish that. If it's wanting to grow and wanting to build the biggest possible agency and have, as many clients as you can, you're going to need a team. So that would be how you would do it, right? Is just kind of figure out ways that you could have a full team. So
Yeah, well, I think one thing we see a lot in some of these like Medicare forms is agents reach that point. They've built this book of business and they've got so many clients, and they're just wondering, like, how do I maintain this? How am I going to continue? How can I continue to grow if I've got to be able to service all the clients that I have? And so they've kind of reached a point where they consider maybe hiring a part-time or full-time admin, somebody who's going to help them maintain their book of business, or maybe send out those birthday cards, or coming up with ways to kind of stay in contact with them. So that's another example.
Yeah. And even when it comes to hiring an admin, I've seen that there's one of the kind of the leaders of one of the Facebook forums, Facebook groups. They always talk about hiring virtual employees, which we've kind of flirted with some. It's definitely, there's ways to do it at lower cost.
Right.
So, which is super helpful. Hey, and just want to remind everybody, this is a time to find your inspiration. This is a time to figure out what you can do to get motivated. And I think about, right in the movie Gladiator. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
There was a moment where he was telling everyone that to picture themselves where they'll be, and that's where you're going to be. And I think we have to, as agents, get to that point. And we're going into what I would say is probably going to be like something we've never seen before, where they're saying that 40%, at least 40% of people will end up shopping their Medicare plan this year. Now's the time to get motivated. Now's the time to kind of get out of whatever lull that you've been in, whatever has got you, staying at home, and not working, and get motivated for that next level, because this is the year that you either get to that next level or you take a step back because you weren't working hard enough. Right. So get inspired, get ready to go. And so until next time, we look forward to more and more podcasts. Do us a favor, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know for most people, they're listening to us in their car on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. If you're doing that, would you do us a favor? Also like us and subscribe. We also offer more content on YouTube that goes beyond what we do here. So until next time, thanks so much.